Intel Corp is in a pennant range looking for that squeeze out to remain in this volatile fashion. We're in a very obvious flag and pole like structure. We've gotten that very nice move to the upside after finding that bottom around that 1897 level. And we formed a very obvious pennant structure looking for that squeeze, getting very tight with this resistance and this support. So should we expect a squeeze to the upside or the downside? Who's going to win this fight? We're going to analyze what we should be expecting within the next few days, 2 weeks of price action. All right, guys, on the weekly, so we see a very obvious resistance level around that 27.55 as well as that 25.73. So pretty beat up overall in the more recent times, right? We did find that high of 50 after we've gotten that nice little uptrend here, but since the high of 50, really been on a pretty steep decline, right? We've retraced that entire movement and more, right? Finding that support around that 1897. The ultimate low within this range being that 1767. After finding that bottom, we did try to trend to the upside. Found a high around that $27 level, got crushed down, but that support does hold up, and then we try to trend up, trend a bit higher, but we do find that 27.55 as some strong resistance there. Come right back down to that support. Once again, back down to that support. So we do see a trend here. That support level is holding up extremely nicely. And from there, guys, we find some obvious resistance met up with some obvious support. Shift the trend a little bit. Very, very volatile here. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Do get a little bit more stable, kind of riding this ascending support. And then we meet up with that resistance, but the sellers do win that fight, bringing us downwards. But once again, that support level holds up. I mean, this support level has held up for over a year now, so there's been a ton of energy building within the stock. We've had this kind of chop range for over a year. This was created last August. Tomorrow will be September. It's August 31st at the time of making this video, so it's really been building some energy for a very long time here, guys. It's extremely notable. Given that there is a ton of volatility building up here, we see volume really get to those high levels, and then we've been quite volatile still within this pennant-like range looking for that squeeze. So very well could be looking for that move out of this range here, breaking that 27.55 as we have been in it for over a year now. All right, guys, on the daily chart, so you see a little bit better once we found that resistance and that support level. Very, very volatile, right? That support still holding up. Sellers try to get their move to the downside here. You can see that buyers buy it right back up every single time the sellers try to make their move. Bit of indecision here, kind of weird, choppy price action, but nevertheless, still quite volatile. Then we find this ascending support level with this resistance stemming off that last high of 27.55. And we're on this for quite a bit of time, but we do break it, gap down, and flush down to the floor. You know, you think sellers would stem off this momentum here with that nice big gap down and break us finally through that level. You see right away, the first candle that touches that 1897, boom, right back up. Very, very strong support. Quite unusual. If you're looking at other stocks, guys, support levels usually aren't this strong. There is some strong supports on certain stocks, but this stands out as a very, very strong support. So that's good to keep in mind. And we have been building a ton of energy within this range. So we do get that big volatile move to the upside, kind of like we're used to seeing after hitting support. I mean, it's no stranger to see these big moves to the upside after hitting it, right? This being a very notable one, though. Say that first run to the 27.55 being the strongest, and then this being the second strongest. And so we hit the high of 26.53, and then we are getting into this pennant structure. We've met up with some obvious ascending support and some obvious resistance. Now, if there's one thing that we know about this stock, guys, it's very reactive. Every single time it comes down to that support, it makes a move. You see this resistance and this support meet up and makes a move. And you could just see in that overall year-long range, guys, it's been very reactive. Hit that ceiling, come down, hit that support, go up. So this should be no different. We should be seeing a big move to the upside or a big move to the downside within next couple of days of price action. Really, guys, we're getting tight within this range. You can see that the volume's drying up. We're getting tight within this range. That's the obvious sign, right, guys, for a breakout, for a move to the up or downside. Textbook stuff here, guys. So should we get to the upside? Should we go to the downside? I mean, as history shows us, every time we kind of test around that range, we fall to the downside. But instead, this time, guys, we hold up quite nicely. We don't get a sharp move to the downside. Instead, we do build up in this pennant. And I think there's a bit more room to the upside, guys. Given that fundamental-wise, Intel has been performing quite well. There's been a ton of buyer pressure around Intel and more interest in the whole, right? More social media attention, way more volume than we did see in the past. You just see those huge spikes in volume. And I think that Intel could definitely be squeezing out here to the upside. I mean, staying within this range is always a possibility. We have been in for quite a long time. I think the more probable movement, I'd give it 65%, is that we squeeze to the upside, guys, given that we are getting tight. There's been a ton of volume. We're drying up, looking for that spike in volume. As long as volume can really jump in here, guys, I think that we could be seeing a nice move blowing past that 26.53 previous high and past that 27.55, which would be pretty cleared past that range, right? We haven't really been above that range for over a year. We'll be looking to get past that, testing this range here around that $29 to $30 level. I do predict if we end up squeezing out of this pennant, we do blow past that $27.55 once and for all. We do test that psychological $30 level, given that we are due for a breakout here, and this is a textbook structure. All right, guys, on the hourly, we see a closer eye view of this pennant. So we've seen that nice move up after bouncing off that 1897. Now we see it chop, 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 getting tighter as we go on. And now we've seen the buyers try to break out of this range once here, twice here, 3 times here. And now the sellers have broken out once here, twice here. So still a bunch of back and forth. I do predict that the buyers get us back within this range. It would get tight maybe for another day. It's a possibility, get tight for another day, then break out. If the sellers can remain under this range and don't let the buyers get back within this range, testing that resistance, you could be seeing that move to the downside. But like I said, I am siding with the buyers here with that increase in volume, that increase in buyer interest, and this type of structure that we're seeing after a big move to the upside instead of crashing to the downside, especially with all the energy building that has been going on for over a year now. I think that the buyers get us back within this range, break through this resistance, test that 25.73, break through that. If we do break out of this pennant, then you'd be testing the previous highs, being at 26.53. If you could break through that, we're definitely looking nice to that 27.55, where you'd want to finally see a break of this structure. Then we'd be headed to our price target on the channel, which would be $30. Be patient with this one. Next couple of days are going to show us what's going to happen. We're in a very obvious structure here. All right, guys, that's all I got for you on Intel. Let me know your price predictions in the comments below, both short and long term. As always, guys, be patient with this one. Trade smart. I will see you all in the next one.